And we are live for an SEC Week 9 reaction. Goodness gracious, a lot to react to. Big winners, big losers.
You're talking ball with the SEC squad. From Alabama to Tennessee, from Georgia to Oklahoma, from Auburn to Texas, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming SEC weekend. It's the SEC squad, and we have a seat for you. Hurt feelings and thin skin are prohibited. Squad up, you're part of the SEC squad.
And what's up, everybody? Welcome into our SEC Week 9 reaction show. We've got plenty to react to. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use our code LOCKEDONCollege, get $20 off your first purchase. Today we got Jay Smith, Locked On Sooners, Stephen Willis, Locked On Ole Miss, Luke Robinson, Locked On Bama. I'm Chris Gordy, Locked On SEC. And gents, let's start with we'll get to the Brian Kelly and LSU mess in a second, but we're going to start with the two teams that arguably should have won and let victory slip out of their hands. And that was South Carolina against Alabama and Mississippi State against Texas. Luke, let's start with Bama. When Lenore Sellers goes in and in the fourth quarter and South Carolina goes up 8, are you feeling like this ain't going to happen?
No, it's rough, and I appreciate you coming to me first because I'm going to tell you, like every date I've ever had, you've got me for 10 minutes. Use them however you feel free. Now, all right, so, yeah, when Alabama stopped South Carolina and then they had the fumble or the touched punt or whatever it is, I was like, it felt like that should have been a penalty, but I wasn't sure what to call because everybody kept saying it's blocking the back. I was like, that didn't seem right. But it turns out Terry McCauley came out and said, yeah, that should have been Alabama's ball right where it was touched because the South Carolina player pushed the Alabama player into it, which you can't do. But that being said, Alabama gets all the calls. We know this. Now, Alabama gives up a drive after that. They go for 2. They get it. I mean, it's just, 22 to no, excuse me. They don't go for 2. They get 22 to 14. And you're thinking, man, we can't get anything going. It felt like a Florida State redux. And if you look at the stats, they are eerily similar. I think the same number of completions, same number of attempts, and 1 yard of difference passing. Ty Simpson, South Carolina, Ty Simpson, FSU. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. The rushing stats about the same. Very, very weird. But what you have to respect is that Alabama didn't lose it this time. I mean, I would argue, even though South Carolina's been on a bit of a losing streak, right now they're probably the better team than Florida State. And so what it tells me is Alabama's learned how to win this game. And Deontay Lawson, who maybe didn't have his best game until he caused that fumble, and now he's a legend. And then to have to get down, and what I love is he has to go down and tell Tim Keenan, who's so big, hey, dude, you're on the football. Like, right. He didn't feel the football. That is incredible. And so he just had to, and next thing you know, we get the ball, and then Jeremy Bernard is an absolute unit. He's just a dude. I think it's also kind of weird that all these Washington transfers are kicking so much butt. Brailsford, he could be an All-American. Jeremy Bernard might need to be an All-American. And then Cuevas catches a touchdown and the 2-point conversion. It makes me wonder, how good would Washington be if DeBoer were still there? So maybe he can evaluate pretty well. And it was a great game. It was a lot of fun in a sense because we won. As my whole family has told me, you were miserable until we won. I said, well, welcome to being a Bama fan. Welcome to being an SEC fan. I was like, I don't get a podcast if I come up here all milquetoast like, well, may the best team win. No, I am like, hey, I live and die by this stuff. It dictates how the rest of my week will be. So yes, that's I don't want it any other way.
Real quick, Luke, I made this argument yesterday. I mean, Ty Simpson still is in the Heisman hunt, and you could argue, he's among the best players in the country. But to me, if I'm picking an MVP so far this season for Alabama, it's Jeremy Bernard. I mean, that dude has come up clutch, big moment after big moment, and I don't know where look, Ryan Williams got all the hype, but Jeremy Bernard's been their more consistent go-to, dude when they need him.
Yeah, I think he might be the MVP of the team, and Ty might win the Heisman. I think that may be how it goes. And the one way you can tell is when things get rough, when the chips are down, what do? We put Jeremy in a Wildcat. what do? We throw it to Jeremy behind the line of scrimmage and then give him the option to throw or run. You know, we tried to do that against Tennessee. It should have been a 10-yard loss, turned out to be an 18-yard gain. He is playing his butt off. He is moving up the draft charts very quickly, and I'm right there with you. I mean, if I'm voting an MVP, it is Jeremy Bernard, and right now, Jeremy Bernard, and maybe even more to a degree, Lottie Brooks, who was absent in this game because of the flu, apparently, they are playing more Ryan Williams than Ryan Williams right now. And I don't know what's going on with Ryan Williams, and I'll love him now and I'll love him forever. But if your nickname is Hollywood, you got to make that catch when Ty Simpson has pressure in his face and his hand gets hit and somehow still gets it to you. It was like he lost all control of his motor functions soon as the ball touched his hands. I mean, they immediately sort of crisscrossed and he had this very weird scowl on his face and he just falls to the ground. And, you know, what we're going to have to do is start saying, okay, if Ryan can't make that play, then we're going to have to let Lottie Brooks make that play, or we're going to have to let Jeremy Bernard make that play. At some point, you've got to say, okay, he doesn't have it right now, and until we know he's got it back, we can't let him be the guy that tries to make those catches.
Does Alabama run the table, Luke? Like
I'm going to say no, because again, I grew up way too close to Auburn, Alabama. I know about that stadium that was made from the bones of crushed leprechauns and built on the dust of unicorn horns and on the site of Area 59, which was just above Area 52 or whatever that place is. And so I'm going to say right now, this is me being totally honest, not trying to reverse jinx, but if it reverse jinx, great. I think Alabama beats Oklahoma. Alabama beats LSU because I think those two teams are starting to slide. And when your goals of the playoff, we're so close and now they're gone, I think they will fall off. Then we'll beat Eastern Illinois and we show up to the Iron Bowl and it's sort of like we're in regardless. So, yeah, we're not really worried about it. Meanwhile, it'll be Auburn's Super Bowl and Hugh Freeze is fighting for his job, or DJ Durkin is. And I think that Auburn will somehow come away with a win. That's me predicting right now because Auburn always does that to me.
You know, one thing that's interesting, Luke, like I've been on squad shows and done this show every week, and they keep talking. Alabama had a field goal kicker. If Alabama had a field goal kicker, and you heard that, why did Shane Beamers give up a 25-yard touchdown at the end of the game?
He admitted it. That's what's nuts to me. He went and said, because when it first happened, the guy pulled his arms back, and I immediately thought, is that Chauncey Billups' cousin? I mean, what has he got money on this thing? What is going on? And he pulled up, literally pulled up like this. And I thought maybe he was thinking, I don't want to hit him out of bounds. And Germ did have some incredible balance to run the inline, baseline or inline. And then, or sideline, I should say. But, and I thought Jesse Palmer, I thought he sort of missed the mark here too. He said, boy, if Germ was thinking, he would have slid down so that Alabama could have a chip shot field goal. Has he ever watched us? Do we have a chip shot field goal in our history? Andy Papanastos was going to kick one from 5 yards out. They snapped it from the back of the end zone, and he shanked it so bad it just landed in Decatur, Georgia. So what I'm saying is I would rather, this is me, I would say, hey, Connor Talty, you come out there and prove that you can make a game winner. By the way, he's missed some this year that are pretty easy. Come out here and make one and make sure they don't snap it over your head, make sure we don't block it, yada, yada, yada. Or you can give up a touchdown. Yeah, I'm not doing that give up a touchdown thing when I've got 34 seconds, no timeouts, and I haven't had a long drive all game long. Yeah, I'm not doing that.
He is a perfect 6 for 6 on the season, though. Field goals 39 yards and closer. So it was, I thought it too. I said, oh, they're letting him go. So at least Sellers gets the ball again with a chance to, and granted, it would have been really tough with no timeouts and less than a minute to go, but at least you have a chance to answer. As opposed to he goes down there. I just think Talty's not missing that chip shot field, and you lose that way. At least you give your offense a chance, which they really didn't, because once Sellers got hit, I mean, that was it. It was over.
I wouldn't have thought Ryan Williams would drop that pass. I wouldn't have thought our player would run into the ball on a punt return. A lot of things. I mean, South Carolina guy missed a field goal earlier. I'd take a page out of my own book and say, hey, let's just see if Connor Talty can do it. I mean, you can say, hey, he's not missing that, but he hadn't been in this position before. And I'll tell you what, every time they showed him on the sidelines warming up for what could have been the potential game-winning kick, I was nervous for him. I was like, God, I mean, I was sitting there thinking, if it were real Reichert, I'd already be like smoking a stogie. But when it's Connor Talty, and no offense to Connor Talty, I'm just saying he's not Will Reichert. So who's the all-time NCAA leading scorer. So anyway, I think that was a very short-sighted way to look at things. If he had 2 minutes left or whatever, maybe. But if you got 34 seconds and a quarterback, he hit the one play to Nick Harbor, and that's great. But then it especially looked foolish after Nick Harbor tried to return the kick, fumbled it around, and cost him another 7 seconds.
Yeah, that was kind of ridiculous to me, was them. When I went back and watched it, I'm like, why did he pull up? And then, of course, Beamer says that. I'm like, that made no sense in a game that was as tight as it was. I mean, just like you said, Luke, Bama's on the road. If he's going to kick a game-winning field goal, make him kick a game-winning field goal. Show me you got the kahunas to handle that. Like, I mean, Chris, you're right on the stats itself, but you're at home. You're at William Bryce. It's night. Force him to beat you with that, right?
Sandstorm is jumping in that fourth quarter. That place was nuts.
The energy was there. The energy was there, and you felt it. You felt it through the TV. As I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, my God, this is going to be a game. And then you decide that, no, give him a touchdown. We have faith in our 34-second drive ability.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to give up a touchdown for the right to throw a Hail Mary, maybe.
That's
what Shane Beamer decided to do.
What do they do on their first play? They throw it, and the tight end or whoever caught it cuts back inside, so the clock continues to run.
The clock keeps running. It's like everything was boneheaded. Everything was boneheaded in that one.
You had the wherewithal, and I say wherewithal sarcastically, to tell him, hey, if they are about to score a touchdown, back up. But then you forgot to tell your offense, hey, we have no timeouts. Get out of bounds at all costs, even if it's a loss. And instead he cuts back inside, which makes the clock keep running.
What's crazy, guys, is at 3-5 now, Shane Beamer, their next 2 games are at top 10 Ole Miss and at top 10 Texas A&M. They come home for Coastal Carolina. I assume they should win that one. And then Clemson, who stinks, they could win that one. But even if they win the 2 games that they could win, that's 5 wins. So they would have to pull off a massive upset either at Ole Miss or at A&M, even to get to bowl eligibility. That is for the hype that came in. People were picking them as a dark horse playoff team. Lenore Sellers still being talked about as a top 10 pick in the draft next year. Like, that is a massive, massive underachievement. When we talk about Hugh Freeze and Sam Pittman and Billy Napier and all these other guys that are losing their jobs and all this, like, that's a massive letdown for Shane Beamer with one of the greatest talents to ever come through Columbia.
Let me say one more thing, if y'all don't mind, because I got to run. Somebody did point out Lawson had 12 tackles and had some pressures and a forced fumble. Yeah, the forced fumble was huge, and he did have a lot of tackles. I guess what I was thinking was there were a couple of times he had Lenora Sellers dead to rights, and Lenora Sellers is a dude and just a specimen, and he was able to get away from it. So I wasn't trying to say Deontay Lawson he had a terrible game. I was just saying there were a couple of moments where I thought he could have done a little more, but that last play puts him down in Alabama lore forever. It's now cocky stop. That's what we're calling it.
There you go.
Well, coming up next, guys, we will get to Texas, Mississippi State. We'll get to Brian Kelly and LSU, but we're getting a ton of comments on Ole Miss. So we're going to talk about Ole Miss beating Oklahoma, and we got our Ole Miss and Oklahoma guys here. So we'll do that next. Luke, appreciate the time. We'll be right back here on Locked On SEC Squad Show. Hey, but first, guys, I want to remind you that, of course, college football is happening right now, and, of course, all the great things that make college football so much fun. If you want to be there in the stands and you want to take part in the pageantry and all the fun, you got to go check out our friends at Gametime. The Gametime app gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I'll be honest, I was at home this weekend watching the game, but I like to just go on the Gametime app and kind of check right before kickoff, and you start seeing a little bit of dip. People start – they're selling their tickets. They're like, hey, I didn't sell these yet. Let me drop the price. Gametime is a perfect place to go do that. Of course, you can get them well in advance as well and get some great prices. You get the seat views, which is the best part. You can see what your actual seat view is going to look like in the stadium before you buy. But it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other app you're going to use to buy tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use our code LOCKEDONCollege, get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Get $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Gametime app today. All right, gents, we dive back into it, and let's start with your game, guys. This was the early game yesterday. It was Ole Miss at Oklahoma, and there were times when it looked like Ole Miss was just going to run away with this thing, and then Lane Kiffin did some stupid Lane Kiffin things, like going for it on 4th and 1 from his own territory, and Oklahoma got back in this one. But, gents, what were your thoughts on this one?
I thought that Ole Miss had a really good matchup from the beginning against Oklahoma. Whenever Ole Miss is matched up against an air raid team, you have an advantage because the air raid coaches don't usually want to stick to running the ball physically like Arkansas and Georgia did against Ole Miss. And the bet was that Ben Arbuckle wasn't going to do that. And Ole Miss did a really good job against the run in that game. If you take away the 165-yard explosive play, they had like 70 yards rushing and they averaged like 2.6 per carry. They did really well against the run game, but it was a game that Ole Miss had to have. If Ole Miss won this game, 11-1 goes on the table, hosting a playoff game, maybe Atlanta goes on the table. Lane Kiffin is likely not going anywhere if Ole Miss makes the playoff. That gets taken off the table. And Ole Miss has everything in front of them. That special season that everybody was thinking about before the Georgia game, now it is all back on the table. And Trinidad Chambliss had a great game in this one, over 300 yards passing, over 50 yards rushing, including a couple of dimes, by the way, in that game that was absolutely necessary. This was a major game for Ole Miss, and honestly, it kind of felt like a corner was turned for this program, especially with what's on the schedule. Now, the next thing that needs to happen is that everybody needs to show up. They need to be completely focused, and they need to take care of South Carolina to get to the playoffs, because we all saw what happened a year ago against Kentucky. But it does feel like a corner got turned for this program.
No, I 100% agree with you on that one. And you could tell that Ole Miss, like you said, Stephen, needed it and wanted it more. This was the game that Lane Kiffin typically loses. This was the first win on the road for an AP ranked team or something like that for Lane while he's been at Ole Miss or something like that.
At the time, they beat Tennessee or something like that when they were ranked in 2021, but I don't think they stayed ranked.
Right. Yeah, so it's been a while.
But keep wearing your hat right. This Gary wants you to.
Yeah. Hey, but no, it's science, right?
Right, it's science. It's definitely science. But no, that was it. And all the distractions that was going in for Ole Miss in this game, that was what the questions were. Were they going to be focused? Were they going to be able to do it? Was Lane going to be able to call the game he needed to? Shout out to Lane. Shout out to Ole Miss. Shout out to Pete Golding. It was a masterclass on both sides of the ball. And I think the thing that jumped out to me the most in this, and I hope Ole Miss fans don't take this as shade whatsoever, because it's not at all. Lane recognized it's raining. We're going to play smart. We're going to take our time. We're going to huddle. We're not going to waste. We're not going to go out there and try to be quick and run a whole bunch of tempo. We're going to make Oklahoma think. And at the same time, because I know Oklahoma is going to be aggressive, we're going to use that aggressiveness against them. And it was perfect. It's exactly what you're supposed to do as a coach, is adjust your game plan when you know the elements are going to be in your favor. Rainy games, if you're aggressive, all you got to do is move a certain way and let dudes just slip right past you. And Trinidad Chambliss was fantastic in the pocket. He looked comfortable. He showed a lot of poise. Like you said, he hit some dimes. He didn't complete the passes the way I thought he would. Like, I thought it was going to be much higher in completion. I thought he was just going to boom, boom, nonstop. He had some pressure, and so you could see that he felt it, but at the same time, he took that pressure and he elevated his game to it. He was, like I said, he was dropping dimes and he was being patient. That, to me, was probably the key thing, was they used that aggressiveness against us. And then at the same time, on the defensive side, I don't know what the hell Ben Arbuckle was thinking, but Steven, you're right. We refused to run the ball. We got the one big run. We busted out and was gone. And in this game, Xavier Robinson had 9 carries for 109 yards. 5 carries basically came with that 65-yard run, and he was getting some yards. We handed the ball 4 times left in the fourth quarter. 4 times. 4 times. When you're running well, it's like we were. I guess what Superman gets his power from the sun. As soon as the sun came out, it looked like we knew how to play football again. Then we took the lead. I was like, oh my God, what happened? The krypton is gone. No more kryptonites on the field. Lane's kryptonite has worn off. And then he just pulled it right back out and said, no, I'm gonna give you a chance. But then Oklahoma said, no. We want Lane Kiffin to stay in Ole Miss. Here you go. You get it back because that going for it on fourth was crazy. But it's lame. You're going to get an erratic thing here or there or whatnot. The good thing is it worked out in the end. They forced only a field goal, didn't give up a touchdown, closed the game out. It was a masterclass in coaching more and then execution to go with it. I was impressed.
Yeah, it was one of those things. They put Austin Simmons in cold on the goal line a couple of times that probably cost them several points over the day. And it's not that it's a thing against Austin Simmons. It's just that defense is so good and you're coming in cold. And Trinidad at that point has been a cheat code against that defense. And it just felt like you would use that a little bit more. But Ole Miss was able to pick up the win. If it wasn't for those two explosive plays, I think Sertania had a 75-yard touchdown pass where the cornerbacks, half the team decided to play zone, half the team decided to play man. And if you take those away, that's like half the yards that happened in that game. That game could have been a whole lot worse than it was on the scoreboard. Credit to Oklahoma for making it a game because the first half, like Gordy said, it looked like Ole Miss was going to run away, especially with the way the Ole Miss defensive line was playing. Coming into this game, everybody talked about the Oklahoma defensive line, and man, that's warranted. Don't get me wrong. But the Ole Miss defensive line, Prince Willimon Mielon, Cam Franklin, those guys making plays on the line of scrimmage. John Mateer, or as we see in the comment, mid-tier apparently, did not have any time over the course of the game. I listen, Jay, I think that Oklahoma rushed him back.
I think he rushed himself back. That's the problem is like he kept telling everybody, I'm good. His knee doesn't even look right. Like I know that he sprained his knee in the Auburn game before even Texas, and then he breaks his has a broken bone in his thumb. He looked hesitant. He would not make decisions. And then at the end of the game, he just kept overthrowing everybody. It was pissing me off because Satania has the big play, in the game. And that one to me it's like as Mateer goes through these games as of late, the further and further into the game, the better and better the defensive coordinator plays against him. Because you start the game off and he's patient in the pocket. He sees what's going on. He feels a little pressure. He directs a dude, chunks it to him, and he goes 75 yards for a touchdown. You're like, okay, hopefully he's starting to get his brain and his eyes back. He wasn't seeing anything. There were dudes open and he had enough time. I think his time to pass when I was looking at PFF when it was calculated, it's like 4 seconds. When he was pressured, when he had pressure, he had time, but he just kept like not making this. Should I run? Should I throw? Should I hopscotch? Should I do jumping jacks? Should I get in the double dutch? He just kept not making a decision, and I feel like I'm dealing with Jackson Arnold and Seth Luttrell again, and that is not a good feeling, guys. It is not a good feeling.
A couple things here, real quick. Xavier Robinson, I thought. When he had those long runs, I was like, okay, is this going to be the guy that gets Oklahoma, gets them to pull off this win? It was not, because we talked all week about Torrey Blaylock, and it was Robinson who had the nice runs. So that's promising moving forward. But for Ole Miss, like I said this all season long, Stephen, in the offseason and everything. If Ole Miss had a Kewan Lacey last year, they would have been a playoff team. Ole Miss was missing that dynamic runner. And I say it all the time, if Quinshon Judkins, I get it, there was some stuff behind the scenes and all this. If they had just been able to figure it out and be like, dude, just keep your head in the game. We just need you for this one season. I think Ole Miss would have been a playoff team last year, but the lack of the run game hurt them. Kewan Lacey, I get that Mizzou's happy with Ahmad Hardy, but how do you let that guy go? Like, if they had both those guys, they'd be incredible right now. Ferris State, I don't know, how the hell did everyone miss on this Trinidad Chambliss evaluation? Because he has been incredible.
He was 140 pounds coming out of high school. He was somebody that it was a size speed thing. Yeah. And he got picked out on the basketball court. There's a couple of stories of Ole Miss writers that talked about it. The head coach at Ferris State actually saw him on the basketball court, went and saw him playing football as well, but that was his introduction. But he was a very slight guy. He had to redshirt his first year at Ferris State, and his second year, basically, he got injured. So while they were building up and everything, that's 2 years that he had a chance to get his body right, essentially. So that's what happened. It was a size speed thing.
Well, which makes sense. Thing. I mean, which kind of honestly even surprises me too. Like Ole Miss, y'all brought in Austin Simmons 2 years early, right? He skipped a grade at 2 grades and then decided to forego his senior year because he's smart enough to do it and head to college early. It's like, dang, physically, I was worried about his development coming in initially. I was like, dang, that's super early, especially for a quarterback. But he gets healthy, it's going to be fun. But I don't know why. I'm kind of irritated that even Pete Nakos even reported out there that Trinidad Chambliss was going to start in this game. It's like, well, why wouldn't you? The dude's been killing it this entire season. Like, why is this not even a story, guys? Like, what are we doing here?
Let me just add real quick. Another guy, Steven, I've been Winston Watkins. I mean, with the receiving core with Caden Lee and Harrison Wallace and Dezon Stribling, like, for him to emerge, true freshman, right? Like, he has been incredible for them. 111 yards in this game. And I saw somebody tweeted out last week, give them credit. They said, this dude's a freak, the speed, keep feeding him. Somebody tweeted that out a week ago. And look at what Winston Watkins did this week. So that's massive.
Yeah, he's Sammy Watkins' either nephew or cousin. The former Clemson wide receiver. I think he played for maybe it was the Texans or somebody like that.
Wow.
Really good player. He was a 5-star on Rivals for a good portion of the last recruiting cycle as well. He came to Ole Miss and he has completely showed out. Everybody thought Caden Lee would kind of be the guy. And Caden Lee's being all right, but they just have so many weapons offensively. This is the difference from this team and last year's team. Last year, it would be Jackson Dart throwing hero balls to Trey Harris, and he'd catch the ball 11 times during the game. If you take away Trey Harris a little bit, there wasn't really a plan B. This year, there's 8 different receivers getting 3 catches in the game, and you don't know who to take away and who to double.
Yep.
That's the advantage that Trinidad Chambliss happens. I was talking to John Williams from Locked On Sooners. He's like, do you think Trinidad's better than Jackson Dart? And I was like, no, he's not. He's not a first-round quarterback. But what Ole Miss is, this offense is better than last year because it's so much even and so much spread out on the field, plus the Kejuan Lacey running game. There's just a lot of weapons that Ole Miss can go to.
Real quick, guys, because we got some other games we got to touch on. But before we move on, Jay, we're getting in the comments. How are Sooner fans feeling about Brent Venables? We know last year was kind of disappointing, 6-6. They're 6-2 right now. So, like, let's not, like, run him out of town and all this. But some Sooner fan or some people kind of saying, what are Sooner fans feeling about Venables right now?
Fire that man. That's literally all fans have been saying since he got hired back 4 years ago. It's literally fire him every single week. We're 6-2 and everybody wants him fired. Totally get it. Fire the man. You shouldn't lose at home. Fire him for whatever reason you want to fire. The defense didn't show up this week, which, like I said, masterclass on Lane Kiffin in preparing for the aggressiveness. He knew what to do. He knew how to shift everybody around and be prepared, but still fire the man. The defense didn't show up and dominate like they wanted to, so fire him 100%. Me, personally, and a lot of other fan sentiment, this is on Mateer and Arbuckle. They had the opportunities. Hand the ball off to a running back that's been causing problems, especially in the second half. Do it. Just run. Just run. Run through a MFer's face. You do that nonstop, you probably have a better chance. And Steven, you said it perfectly. That was kind of the Arkansas and the Georgia strategy. Just be physical nonstop. Just be physical at the end of the game. Wear that defense down. We didn't want to do that. We decided that it feels like Arbuckle wants John Mateer to succeed more than he wants the team to succeed. He's really just force feeding us Mateer right now, and I don't think he's 100% outside the thumb. I don't even think his knee's 100% because he sprained it against Auburn. So to me, it's stop force feeding us Mateer. Give it to the people that you've seen success with, which is your running backs, and just hand them the ball now. Do it.
This is one last important thing. The ultimate unicorn happened in this game. Lane Kiffin and his offense had 35 minutes of time of possession against Oklahoma in this game. He normally goes about 25, 26 minutes in the game, but he had the ball for 35 minutes. And the second thing before we change games and all that, I have heard stories from Ole Miss people that went to Norman. Everybody talked about how cool of a town it was. Everybody to a person is talking about how great the fans are, the whole experience was. I genuinely think this rivalry is going to be a good thing for Ole Miss and Oklahoma because it does seem like both fan bases kind of like each other.
Yeah, they enjoyed it. All I've heard was good things about the Ole Miss fans. It was a great time. Everybody enjoyed them in town, and a lot of people in Norman made sure to show them around well. But yeah, that unicorn of 35. Hey, you do that when you huddle and never go tempo. Genius.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin talked about Brent Venables getting signals. He didn't mean stealing signals like Connor Stallions. He's just good at picking up on what you're doing because of the preparation. So Lane Kiffin decided to wait until after the 15-second mark when the microphone gets cut off to change over so the communication would be a little bit slower. That was a part of Lane's strategy in that game, and it kind of worked. There was a couple of times you were kind of able to get Oklahoma unhinged.
One last thing, Jay. How'd you feel? Oklahoma got the benefit of the doubt with the refs for a couple weeks, and in this one, man, it was like every big moment, third down, it was like drives kept alive for Ole Miss. And some people said Oklahoma fans must hate the refs this week.
I tell everybody, don't let the refs determine your success. It's gonna happen, no matter what. You're gonna get the benefit of it, the doubt, and you're gonna be the one that takes all the pain from it. Look, pain don't hurt at this point. I'm used to refs ruin it for any team and every team every single week.
I just think the roughing the passer when you just touch a quarterback above the weight, like that needs to go away. That's absolutely insane. Like it's tackle football, guys. You're going to get hit.
Now, I'm not defending what was happening. That was a weak roughing the passer, how they called it. But if they'd have looked at it, it would not have surprised me to see it get buzzed down for targeting on the guy that hit him
helmet
in the back.
to helmet. Yeah.
Well, yeah, crown of the helmet into his back. Yeah. I would not have been surprised by that. But yes, the hit to the head, no, that didn't happen.
All right. When we return, we plenty of SEC action we still need to touch on coming up next. All right, guys, it is the NBA season is back. No better place to get in all the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. If you miss the start of a game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel, they have live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. We had some of those yesterday in the SEC. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. Keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. All the great SEC games, all those lines are up there at FanDuel, of course, over-unders, the spread. I like to go money line. I like to go, hey, I think this team's got a great chance at an upset. Home underdogs. Those are always the way to go, especially in the SEC. And right now, FanDuel, they're giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up. Play your game with FanDuel. They are the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, fellas, we dive back into it. Let's go here next because this was like it was a defensive game. I had it on my third TV, and I was kind of like, gosh, there were no offensive fireworks in Mizzou Vandy. But let's get to our guy, John Miller, who had a reaction to the Mizzou Vandy game yesterday.
Missouri loses to Vanderbilt, and even though I'm ostensibly a professional broadcaster, I barely have the words right now. I'm John Miller with Locked On Mizzou, and obviously the offense was not good enough. The defense, though, was excellent. I thought this was going to be a fairly high-scoring game. That obviously did not happen. The Missouri defense held Diego Pavia and company better than anybody in the country has so far, but unfortunately Missouri gets down in the red zone a couple times, turns it over on downs, misses a makeable field goal. And obviously Bo Prabula on that one sequence, looked like a pretty grievous injury there. Leaves the game in an air cast. And quite honestly, regardless of his status, I think Matt Zollers has earned the starting quarterback position against Texas A&M.
Yeah, it was an interesting game to watch. I mean, it was super close. Vandy gets a touchdown to make it 10-3, and then Mizzou goes down the field and ties it. Bo Prabula gets knocked out at the goal line, and it was a gruesome injury. His leg bent a different way. I would expect he's done for the year. But Matt Zollers came in and gave them something. This is the young kid that was supposed to be third string this year because Sam Horn was supposed to be the other guy. But what are you guys thinking of? I mean, one, it's a massive win for Vanderbilt to pull this one out because Diego Pavia didn't play great, but they found a way to win, and they're 7-1 for the first time since 1941. I brought it up in our group chat. The last time Vandy was 7-1, Joe Biden wasn't born yet. Like that's how long ago we're talking.
That was before Pearl Harbor.
Yeah. So, but on the flip side, Mizzou, they're going to have to run the table if they want to get to 10-2 and get to a playoff. But Any overall takeaways from this one from you guys?
Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt just finding a way to just close it out was probably the most impressive thing I had seen. It's tough, right? Like the one thing that you want your team to do is to go to the end of the game and find the will to close it out. Halftime, it was 3-3. It's literally punt after punt after punt after punt after punt after punt. Nonstop. It was a full-fledged defensive battle, and you could see that both teams were, it felt like almost mirrors of each other in preparation, and they knew basically what everybody was doing. Everybody was coming. They were prepped, and it was bad. So from there, the struggle was in, and then Vanderbilt gives the ball up. It's like Clark Lee was just ready, and Diego was able to, like I said, close it out with that touchdown at the end, and I just got to give it to them, man. They gutted out a win that was needed, and I think that they're really, really legit going forward.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I made a joke on Twitter or X or whatever it's called, that if for some reason it comes out to where it's Ole Miss versus Vanderbilt playing for the SEC championship, it needs to be a Jefferson Pilot game. It needs to be at 11:35, broadcast by the Three Daves with Rascal Flatts coming in with Bob that head. That needs to happen, because the Ole Miss versus Vanderbilt game, it was all that. It was always hidden away because Ole Miss was going to be okay to mid. Vandy was going, well, maybe they could be good this year. This year, both teams are increasingly legit. Now, it probably won't happen because Texas A&M looks like a rolling ball of butcher knives right now. But there's a lot of stuff going on. I do think they need to figure out a way to simulcast it with the skins or whatever of Jefferson Pilot Sports if it happens to be Ole Miss versus Vanderbilt.
What was the old chip brand that was this? Golden Flake.
Golden Flake, yeah. Golden Flake chips, yeah.
Bring back Golden Flake. Pavia in this one, guys, 10 of 19, 129 yards, no touchdown passes, an interception, and then 8 rushes for 20 yards and a touchdown. I don't know, maybe hurts the Heisman chances for this week, but Heisman's collective, right? So, like, at the end of the year, you look at the numbers, and look, they're winning. They're 7-1, and a large reason is because of him. So I think he's still very much in the Heisman race. I kind of threw it out there. I think Trinidad Chambliss, Ty Simpson, I think Diego Pavia is still in there. I even make a case for Kewan Lacey at Ole Miss. What's he got? Double-digit touchdown rushes already? Like, he's been pretty incredible too. So, anyway, that's just kind of where the Heisman race is. But Vanderbilt, man, they're going to keep this thing rolling and a chance to run the table here.
Yeah, Marcel Reed too, by the way, on that.
Marcel Reed too, yeah. Forgot about him. All right, gents, let's jump into some other ones. Let's get to the LSU debacle. One, I got to start here by saying impressive win for Texas A&M. As dominant as you can get, winning in Death Valley 49-25, made LSU open up a can of quit. Marcel Reed, the running ability, the throwing ability. We talked about Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion. Look, Ryan Niblett at Texas, don't punt to him. I don't know how coaches look at the film and still go, yeah, let's punt to that guy. And Concepcion, why are you punting to that guy? And had a massive return for A&M that opened up that game. A&M's defense is lights out. Cassius Howell has been incredible, but a massive loss for Brian Kelly with what was supposed to be his best team since he's had in Baton Rouge. $18 million spent on the transfer portal to build this roster, and 3 losses already in the conference, and we're not even out of October yet. Just massive underachievement for Brian Kelly at LSU.
Yeah, and even worse news for Brian Kelly is it's a bye week. This is the one situation that you don't need people stewing, and then you have to go to Tuscaloosa. That's how it's all setting up. And this happened to Ole Miss against Kentucky last year. They weren't eliminated from the playoffs. They were still in it and all of that. But after that Kentucky game, it got weird. And there was kind of an up and down to the team last year. I do not know how this LSU team will perform after the 3rd loss, with them being eliminated before Halloween. Now, LSU, I thought, listen, I even made a comment in our little group chat that we have. I thought LSU played better in the first half than what we had seen. Yeah. I thought a lot of their stuff looked like it was starting to get fixed. When Casey Concepcion returned that punt, it was over. I have never seen an LSU team let go of the rope that quickly.
Well, they had a halftime lead. They had a halftime lead, and then what happened was A&M gets the ball first. So LSU's thinking, all right, if we get a stop here, we get the ball back, we're going to control this thing and go down and score. Instead, what happens is A&M goes on a touchdown drive. They take the lead. LSU gets the ball back. They go 3 and out and then punt, and the punt return for a touchdown. And that was all she wrote. So a terrible, and this happened at A&M last year. LSU played great against A&M in the first half. And then the second half, they changed quarterbacks to Marcel Reed, and it was all A&M. Same thing happened here, but they didn't need a quarterback change. It was just A&M doing what they've done all year. And look, I'll say this. I was skeptical about A&M because I said all last week, they beat one ranked team on the season. That was at Notre Dame. All their other games, they were playing at home, and they were playing some of the worst teams in the SEC, Auburn and Arkansas, Mississippi. They're beating up on all the bad teams. This was as impressive as it gets. And the storyline that goes deeper here is Tommy Moffitt, longtime LSU strength and conditioning coach, was there under Nick Saban, was there under Les Miles, was there under Ed Ogeron. He always had, it was always the talk of, he had LSU, the strength training program. They were never going to lose in the trenches. Offensive and defensive line, they were always going to be tough. One of the first moves Brian Kelly made when he came in was, we're going to get rid of Tommy Moffitt. And he went to Texas A&M. Look at the trenches last night for LSU and A&M and tell me who had the edge. Tommy Moffitt is making a difference for A&M. They are a national championship contender at A&M, and LSU is trying to figure out buyout money for Brian Kelly.
Yeah, LSU, they were Texas A&M was moving furniture in the entire game. Like, you just saw dudes getting moved around with ease. And Marcel Reed gave us a good game to where you feel more confident in being able to pick him long term, right? You don't have a lot of quarterbacks to me in college football today where you just feel like, okay, I can put this team on their back and be okay with it. I think Marcel Reed has entered that tier now. He's entered the tier of everyone feeling, especially in the SEC. You probably have, 5 quarterbacks in the SEC where you can say, they could put the team on his back and go forward. I think Marcel Reed has entered that tier, and that's something, that's a kudos to Mike Elko and them trusting him and letting him conform. Colin Klein out there calling a game of his life. And then Elko walking in, and that defense was good. LSU quit. That period. They quit. As soon as they gave up the lead, 15-14, and they gave up the lead? Yeah, it felt like LSU just said, man, the players, I'm good. I'm done. So I guess the question now is, as unlikable as Brian Kelly is he going to get fired at some point?
Well, that's the problem. Is $53 million. At what point do the frustrations boil over that they finally decide to step up? At A&M, the frustrations boiled up with Jimbo. They said, look, we got to do this. Let's pull the trigger. Same thing with Billy Napier, although his buyout's not as big. But look at James Franklin at Penn State. Again, it got long enough that they said, we can't do this anymore. Here's the counter, guys, because I keep seeing people saying, oh, it's a massive buyout. There's no way he's going to get at least another year. How do you sell to your fans next year buying tickets for LSU games when Brian Kelly still had, how do you sell that? Because you just sold, this is the best collection of talent we've ever had. It's year 4 in the program. By year 4 in the program, Nick Saban won a title at LSU, Les Miles won a title at LSU, and Ed Ogeron won a title at LSU. This was supposed to be Brian Kelly's year, and he massively underachieved. So I just, this is where the big money people, I don't know if it's Todd Graves at Raising Cane's or whoever, wants to step up and write that check. Because not only do you have to write that check for everybody to go away, you got to bring in a whole new staff. And hey, you want to get in the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes? Guess what? That's going to cost you a pretty penny. So that's where it gets really difficult. But again, on the flip side, how do you go to your LSU fans that they just announced they're going to go up on ticket prices for next year for parking and game tickets? And their home slate next year is incredible. Clemson and all these great teams coming in. I just don't know how you sell that fan base on, hey, guys, get that money in right now. Ain't nobody buying tickets to see Brian Kelly coach.
Yeah. Ole Miss last year in 2024, they spent a ton of money on that roster, as everybody can imagine. Ole Miss didn't make the playoff. They had trouble raising that level of money this year. That is something that LSU is going to have to deal with as far as NILs. Like, hey, we need money for NIL. Will you donate? Well, maybe not this year. Maybe we're going to go down to Disney and take the family on a vacation instead. Ole Miss this year had some success. They're in a place where they could make the playoffs. So the next year, they're probably going to be able to raise money for NIL. It's such a quick turnaround, cyclical thing. I do not think whoever is the coach of LSU in 2026, whether it's Brian Kelly or otherwise, they will have another 20 million NIL roster. I think that in 2 years, they might. But this year is probably it could get weird in the offseason this year in more ways than one.
I think a couple years ago, Lane would have ran to LSU for the chance to go coach at LSU. Somebody did bring up a funny suggestion. They said Lane as the head coach and Ed Ogeron as the defensive coordinator. I think that'd be really funny to bring Ed O back to Baton Rouge. The selling point on LSU is recruiting. It's a fertile ground for talent, and you don't compete with anybody else in state. So like Saban said a long time ago, you put up a fence around the state of Louisiana, and you win championships. Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson fell out of the tree for Coach Ed Ogeron. All he had to do was just, hey, Joe Burrow, throw the ball to those guys.
Justin Jefferson was a 2-star, right?
Yeah, and then up to a 3 when he committed.
Yeah.
But still, like,
but luckily, he's the little brother of another LSU player,
Yeah.
so you had an idea of what the tree looked like. So,
but it's just one of those things where it's like, again, I think Kiffin. But here's the thing: the landscape has changed. If Kiffin gets to the playoff with Ole Miss and feels like he can win a championship at Ole Miss, and they're going to up his pay to $11-12 million a year, why would you leave? Why would you leave for Florida or LSU? I saw somebody said expectations to win a championship is too high. I think I put a lot of teams in this boat. I think LSU, I put Oklahoma in this boat, Jay, Auburn, Tennessee. I think those schools are realistic that once every 5 years we want to have a championship level team. I don't think the expectations are every year. Alabama, the championship expectations are every year. But I think there's some other SEC teams that have realistic expectations of once every 5 years we want to compete for a title. And it's just tough. Like that breaking news, the SEC is tough. Everybody can't be good. I said that when Texas and Oklahoma came in. It's hard to win in this conference. So, real quick,
Channing fire Kelly as he was going off the field last night. That was a weird look.
Well, what do you want him to do?
I mean, they've been saying
it was just a weird look. I'm not saying what do you want to do or they shouldn't do it. It's just something that you hear that and you're like, man, they're not even 500 at this point.
Well, I tweeted this out really quick because I'm not trying to defend Brian Kelly, but like just take a step back. Like we're living in it. Take a step back. Brian Kelly at LSU has gone 10-4, 10-3, 9-4, and now he's 5-3. But you tell me, like Hugh Freeze, Auburn fans would love it if Hugh Freeze won 2 10-win seasons and a 9-win season. Sam Pittman at Arkansas, you would have loved that. Billy Napier at Florida, they'd be throwing him a parade. So, like, I get it. The expectations are high at LSU, but, like, it's not like he's been a complete failure there. He's won a lot of games.
We're now at the point where you're dealing with Brian Kelly recruits. And that's season going 9-4, and now you're going 5-3. You feel like there is a regression on his ability to identify talent, acquire talent, and actually coach that talent. He was coaching off of Ed Ogeron's bodies on those 2 10-3 seasons. It's kind of the way it's assumed. So I understand the pain that a lot of these fans have. That's it. I mean, I get it. I mean, I didn't find out. I knew the SEC was tough. I said that when we came into this bad boy. You know, a lot of us missed the 10-win seasons. I don't really care as long as you're constantly competing and you can try for a conference title every so many years, because I know that this isn't a conference built where, I mean, heck, Georgia was having some struggles, right? Like, Kirby Smart is still the best coach in the conference. People been questioning him this season. So it's tough, man. College football, you love it.
Real quick, guys, we do have 3 games I want to touch on real quick. Tennessee absolutely routs Kentucky 56-34. No surprise there. Did have a Tennessee fan in the comments who said Joey Aguilar should be in the Heisman conversation. He was absolutely incredible yesterday, 396, 3 touchdowns. Hat tip to Cutter Boley. Kentucky, all their struggles with quarterbacks over the years, they seem to have found something in the redshirt freshman. 26-35, 330 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick. Cutter Boley might be something if they can. We'll see what happens with the future of Mark Stoops there. But Cutter Boley in Lexington, if they fire Mark Stoops, other teams are going to come calling for Cutter Boley because this kid looks pretty damn good. But nice win for Tennessee, whose offense absolutely bounced back after the loss to Bama.
Yeah, for the first time at Kentucky in 3 or 4 years, you actually have a quarterback that is homegrown that you can build off of.
Yep.
There's a little bit of hope for this Mark Stoops or otherwise. So Cutter Boley, he's a guy that made a couple passes in the Ole Miss game. He came in after Calzada got injured, and he made a couple passes like, okay, I can see you, and you can see him progressing now. So, yeah, I don't see that Kentucky is going to win games this year, but they should at least have hope for the football program at this point.
Me too. I agree. He walked out there with a level of confidence that I was surprised by. You don't get very many. Like sometimes you get those players that'll come in and they're so naive to the situation and they'll just go out there and just do it and not really think about it. They just make it happen. Like playing backyard ball, which is awesome. After a while in the SEC, backyard ball comes to bite you in the tail. I've seen it before. But he plays with a confidence that I was completely surprised by. Like, man, he's just playing ball and he's gonna figure it out. It's like he doesn't have expectations even in his mind to win the game. His expectation is make this game competitive and go have some fun, and he's doing it. Can't be mad at that.
Real quick, they host Oklahoma this weekend, Jay. Then it's New Mexico State at Florida, and then home for Vanderbilt. Outside chance if Tennessee wins these next. I mean, if they win these next 4, they're in the playoff, but they just have no room for error here. But do you guys think Tennessee's a playoff team?
I will believe Tennessee will beat Florida in Gainesville when I see it happen.
Yeah, me too. And it's nothing even against them. It's just it just hasn't happened. So just show me it, and then I can say, yeah. I mean, they have a chance of winning 5 straight at this point. So it's an opportunity. I just saw the spread dropped on FanDuel for Oklahoma, Tennessee. We're a 3.5-point dog. That means neutral site. It's a pick 'em. That is not what I would have expected at all after last week's debacle, because I mean, there's still no faith in John Mateer bouncing back yet from whatever voodoo was put on him after that injury.
And
I don't know
what Ole Miss just did offensively.
Yeah, that's what I'm terrified about. It's like, I mean, hopefully the weather's better and we can actually get traction and look better. Knoxville, they have a very nice field at Neyland, so we may get lucky. I'll be out there for that one, and so I'll just be out there to watch it in pain as I watch, that happen. So, but hopefully Oklahoma actually shows up. But no, it's going to be a very interesting 4 weeks for Tennessee.
Oh, and inject a 9-2 Vanderbilt against a 92 Tennessee in my veins.
Oh my God, I want it. Actually, give me Vanderbilt with only 1 loss going into that game. Oh my goodness, that would be so electric.
One other one here, guys. Auburn gets the win over Arkansas, 33-24.
Dog.
Maybe not what Auburn fans wanted, because I thought the headline today would be Hugh Freeze is fired. But
give me this one. Give me this one. I got to say it because this is the thing that baffled me. And it's amazing that it took this long. Brooks Austin, who the film guy, he's been on Feinbaum. He's done a few shows. And he's been talking about how turnover problem for Auburn is Hugh Freeze. It's not the quarterbacks. Totally get that, because with the RPO, it's too many decisions have to be made, blah, blah, blah. Totally understand him with that. Jackson Arnold gets benched after throwing a pick 6 to his former cornerback, Kenai Walker, who was at Oklahoma with him. The dude read the play. He knew exactly what was coming, snatched it, took it to the house, got the dude benched. Why didn't we do this a long time ago? Didn't Austin Daniels go out there and cooks? I mean, I said this about Jackson Arnold going there. Don't start him year 1. Let him sit for a year. Let him get himself going. He's got immense talent. Do not play him year 1. They did it. And when you benched him, you mount a comeback and win. Ain't that crazy? Kind of crazy how that happens.
Yeah. Well, it's I don't know. I think Auburn fans are very torn here, because it's like, where do you go from here? What if now he beats Alabama last week? Like, you're not firing Hugh Freeze, and so I don't know. You're kind of stuck in that limbo now of like, you kind of it becomes so hard, guys, because if you're a fan and you're like done with the coach, it behooves you to root against your team, which is always the worst part of sports fandom. You never want to root against your team,
right?
But if you want them to get to where they want to be, sometimes you have to go, I hope he loses. I think on the flip side too, guys, we can throw away the Bobby Petrino redemption tour. Like, it's not going to happen. They've played well. They were playing well enough offensively. This week, total crap show in the second half of that game. They scored 3 points in the second half. So sucks for Taylor Green, sucks for all those guys at Arkansas. But look, they're going to have to go somewhere else. Go get an up-and-comer, Alex Golish. Who's the guy? John Summerall, one of those guys. We'll see.
Or Eric Morris.
Yeah. And Eric says Hugh Freeze has trapped Auburn. They're scared to fire Freeze. Last one, Texas at Mississippi State. I watched this one. This one I felt so bad for Jeff Lebby and the Bulldogs. For Texas, give them credit. They fought back. They found an offense. Arch Manning suddenly decided to throw the football and look good. Like in the second half of this game, it was incredible. Of course, he gets knocked out in overtime. Matthew Caldwell throws the game winner. But, yeah, man, give Texas credit. This is the second week in a row. They went on the road in a tough SEC environment and found a way to pull out a miraculous overtime win.
Yeah, two things on this one. First of all, this is the first team that Arch Manning has seen twice, and that matters. There's probably a little bit of a comfortability factor with Arch Manning, and he was able to throw for over 300 yards. He led Texas on that comeback in the fourth quarter. It was a great game by Arch. I know I poo-poo on Texas all the time. 24 points in the fourth quarter and overtime, winning that game, that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. Second of all, is there anything more torturous right now than being a Mississippi State fan? It's like they just invent new ways every single week to lose the game. You're going to punt to that guy? You're in a situation that you can win and you just don't kick them. You would be better off going for it in that situation, pulling a Lane Kiffin and go for it on your own 25-yard line. But you punt to that guy?
Did they not watch the Oklahoma game? Like Jay
or the
knows
Kentucky
it
game, or the Kentucky game,
or the Kentucky game. That's the bad part. This is back to back.
Yeah, I felt bad for. By the way, the Brandon Walker over at Barstool. I don't know if you guys saw it. He was at the game, and they put a whole compilation of him like getting so excited that Mississippi State's going to get their first SEC win in years and all this, and then the absolute heartbreak and letdown that happens. But something to watch in this one. Like, I said this against Kentucky. I thought Arch was going to get going, and that was going to be his big stat booster and get his confidence. Didn't happen last week, but it seemed to happen this week. But he left the game in overtime with appeared to be a concussion. Let's watch that this week, because if he's in concussion protocol, maybe he doesn't play next week, and they got to go with Caldwell. Certainly something to watch, especially when they're playing a big game against Vanderbilt. Hosting Vanderbilt, I feel like Arch they'll clear him and he'll be ready to go, but just something to keep an eye on there.
I don't know. I think we might be on Wally Pitt watch. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
for Matthew Caldwell?
Baffling.
Compared to what we've seen, yeah. I know there's a lot of money in on Arch and everything.
Caldwell
and all that. Yeah, Caldwell, if he just can be a game manager with the weapons that you have at Texas, all of a sudden that offense could look good.
All you need, as you said, Gordy, second half, Arch decided to throw the ball. All you need is a dude that's willing to throw it. Like, that's the one thing I gave props to Lane Kiffin for, is he keeps finding quarterbacks that have no fear and just chunking it. Mm-hmm. Like, I got wide receivers. I'm a 50-50 some of these balls if I need to. Here you go, guys. Show me you can do it. No fear. That's what they need. If they had a dude that just throws the ball, I think that to me, you might go with Caldwell. I think you'll be all right.
Well, guys, we'll kind of leave it there. We keep getting these anonymous people tweeting. There's an announcement to be made at LSU. There was nothing out there yet, so whatever.
I wish.
I mean, 53. Who's waking up this morning saying, "Here's 53 million"? I mean,
well, Pete Nakos has said there's a staff shakeup expected at LSU. Sources tell Shea Dixon and him.
Well, fire the damn Joe Sloan needs to be gone yesterday. I mean, that's absolute.
LSU not being able to have a running back that is dominant, it should be a fireable offense to begin with.
How about you have a returning 4,000-yard passer who can't throw for 200 yards a game?
He's injured. Whoever the offensive coordinator puts him out there, you should just be rolling with the president right now. I mean, he's obvious. He hasn't been right since fall camp. And Van Buren, you have a talented defense. Call the game around that defense, play complementary football, and win games.
Look at Colin Klein at Kansas State. Like, that was when A&M hired him, everybody praised it, said this is going to be a hell of a hire. Look at what that offense is doing. Colin Klein's a damn good OC. We'll look around the SEC. There's some great talent everywhere. I think Charlie Weiss Jr., yes, he's hand in hand with Lane, but I think as a play caller somewhere else, he would be just fine as well. So, I don't know. Could be fascinating to see. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure doing this with you guys, and we'll be back on Thursday night with our squad show, talking all things SEC. And, hey, remember to subscribe to your favorite SEC show at Locked On. Just search Locked On and whatever the school is. You will get all the great intel there. Couple disclaimers real quick, because I saw some people asking where your co-host is, Jay. John is at church. Zach is at church. Brandon Olson is actually overseas this week, so he's in England. That's why he's not on right now. I think he's sleeping. I don't know what time it is in London.
Something
but
like that.
Anyway, so that explains where all those guys are. But hey, guys, this has been fun. We'll talk to you guys on Thursday with more Squad Show.